Don Scott, follow the signs, Don Scott.
From the times they're very small, children learn to recognize small figures, pictures, or little words to recognize signs. Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and most honored guests, we use signs to guide us our entire lives. Signs tell us where we can go, where we can't go, and where we have to go when we really have to go. The signs I'm talking about tonight are not quite so explicit. They're the signs that you see or you feel on the inside. Let me give you an example. When I was only 12 years old, my dad got very sick, and they had to have open heart surgery. It didn't go great. He had a stroke, and my dad was sick and in and out of the hospital for months. And he never seemed to get any better. It was so difficult dealing with that, and I can remember, like it was yesterday, when my mom came and hugged me so tight one morning, and then she said, "Your dad died last night." And what was so surprising was that it didn't surprise me. My sister and all of her friends and everybody said, "You know what? Dad's going to be up pounding nails on somebody's room before you know it." But I knew it wasn't true. I must have seen the signs. Now, I love my dad. He was a man's man. A real man. No mamby-pamby stuff for him. He was a little scary. And I never told my dad that I loved him. I figured he'd be embarrassed or ashamed if I ever did anything so sissy. And once he died, I'd lost that opportunity. I carried that for years. And eventually I made a commitment to myself that everyone I cared about, I was going to tell them exactly how I felt. Now with my mom, that was easy because, well, I was a mama's boy. I'm still a mama's boy. And my sister, Shirley, I could talk to her about anything, including that I loved her. But then there was my brother Dave, a chip off the old block, a man's man. No mamby-pamby stuff for him either. And he was scary too. And I knew I had to do it, so I practiced. "Oh, I love you, man." That wouldn't work. "Oh, by the way, speaking of that, I love you." No, that wouldn't work at all. But I'd made a commitment, and the next time I talked to him, "Okay, all right, I'll talk to you next time. All right, I love you, goodbye." Ha! I did it! I did it, the phone's ringing. Hello? Really? Thank you. He told me he loved me too. I never expected that. And that simple but very difficult call paved the way for motorcycle trips and camping trips, ice fishing trips that provided many humorous stories at Toastmasters over the years. And most importantly, times that we helped each other through those rough spots. We became a lot more than brothers, we became friends. Unfortunately, my brother's health very much followed my dad's health, and he had heart disease and heart surgeries and many problems over the years. And it really came to a head last summer. And his heart started coming apart again, and I spent numerous days in the hospital with him as we got things working again. And when they finally got it stabilized, some things just didn't get on track the way they should have. So he had to spend a few days at the Mayo Clinic in Rochester. Well, after a few days there, we sat down with the doctors, and they gave us the news. My brother Dave was chock full of cancer, inoperable, and they gave him just a few months to live. So we headed back home, and I headed home, and I had a vacation coming. I was going to go on a week's vacation. I was going to get right home, and I was going to spend quality time with him and take care of things. And my wife was the first one to see the signs and said, "No, you need to go up to your brothers and take care of things." And I knew she was right. So I headed up to northern Minnesota, got to my brothers, and the day after I got there, we were sitting on the couch having good conversation, getting some work done, and all of a sudden my brother sneezed 4 times. After the 3rd sneeze, I looked at him, and he had a look of terror in his eyes. And right at that moment, I realized that his time was now. And I looked at him and I said, Dave, if you've got to go, it's okay. And he sneezed 1 more time, and he was gone. Now that night, I was alone in that room where he passed away. And I took solace in my music because I often travel with my little travel guitar. And instead of playing the songs that I normally was playing, there was a song that came to me. And I just kept playing it again and again and again. And over the next several days, I kept thinking of it. And it got crazy. And as I started to try and write things down, I couldn't pull them out. I couldn't pull the words out. But then the next week, only 30 minutes before his service, I pulled out a piece of paper and I wrote down an entire song. It just came to me. And in the last verse, I sang about how empty I was and how much I'd hang on to his love. And I performed a song called I Love You Goodbye for family and friends. And I'll always have a place for you, and I'll keep it right here inside. I won't forget how much I love you. Goodbye. You know, we're given a life, but not a life without sadness, pain, and loss. But if you listen to your heart and you follow the signs, you'll live a life with less regret and powerful, loving memories.